Hello, my magical friends. Madam Z here, your spiritual business success and confidence coach and your magical mentor. Welcome, and so glad you're here joining me live for this training. So, I have my schedule here, so we're going to jump on in. We're going to wait for some people to come on. Um, so, I always start off with what I have in my magical cup, right? My magical brew. Because while we're sitting here talking, I feel like it's just kind of like an intimate conversation that we talk about, like amongst friends, what's going on in your life. Grab a cup of coffee, tea. Let's see what's happening. Let's just have a conversation. So today I'm drinking hibiscus and strawberry tea. So it just reminds me of spring. It reminds me of things that are blooming. And it really just cleanses the palate. So that's what I have in my magical cup today. So cheers to everyone who is joining me live in this workshop. So I go live in all my social medias, usually every Wednesday. So this is Witchy Wisdom live on Wednesdays in my Facebook group, YouTube channel, and all across my platform. So thank you so much for joining me live. Hey, how are you? Thanks for joining us. So if you are here, comment in the section below that you are here and present, and tell me what you're drinking. I would love to know what you're drinking and be introduced to some new um, teas, some new coffees. I just purchased a coffee. It's called Highlander Grog, and it's an amazing coffee. So I have that every morning. So I'm always looking for new suggestions on coffees and teas. So if you are catching the replay, we're not gonna, just dismiss you. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching the replay. So if you're watching the replay, make sure you type a 2 in there for replay so I know to give you some loves. So, like I said, my name is Madam Z. I have a spiritual online witchy school. I have a Facebook group I would love for you to join, and the link is probably right there. So that's where everything goes down. Everything is happening in the Facebook group. So if you want to know about spiritual business, how to run a successful spiritual business, anything witchy, anything magical, that's where you need to be at because that's where it all goes down. So yeah, exactly. You love this group. I did too. This group has been, let's see, I started this group 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And it has developed into what it is today. So we have a lot of cool witches, a lot of trainings coming up, and a lot of trainings in there you can watch. So it's just a really cool group. And it's evolved. It's where I started at is not where I'm at now. So you kind of see the progression through the group. But yeah, I love this group. This is where we all hang out at. All right, so let's dive into today's. I know, me too. I love it. So love it. Hey, Beth. It's been a long time since I've seen you. How are you? I hope you're doing well. All right, so yeah, we got a few people in here that are my one-on-one clients. So thank you for joining me and taking some time out of your spiritual business because I know I give you a lot of homework, a lot of tasks. So thanks for taking some time out, taking a break. So today was really important discussion that I want to talk to you about. And as I go through the list of things that I discuss in this training, I want you to type in the number which one that you are most called to get back into. Today, we're going to talk about getting back to basics in your magical and spiritual business. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been witching for even longer time. But my spiritual business, I've been online maybe 10 years, I'm thinking somewhere around there. And official, that's when I registered my business about 10 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere around there. So I've been doing this for a long time. So, and I just had an amazing weekend with one of my witchy business friends. And we talked about this a little bit. We talked about getting back to basics. And I've been struggling with this for a little bit in my own personal life, my own spiritual path. So I wanted to really share with you we get so bogged down into the day-to-day mundane things of running a spiritual business, or sometimes even we get away from, if you don't have a spiritual business, you get away from actually doing magic or rituals or something in your practice that you're so excited for. So you kind of like have to um remove yourself from the situation where you're at in the day-to-day stuff and really just go back to basics. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can resonate with me, that you feel like, oh man, how did I end up here? This isn't where I started, and not in a good way, right? Because I know I always talk about how where you start now is not going to be where you are at in a year or so from now. You're going to be growing, right? So this is what I call the unbraiding. Okay, we always talk about weaving your magic, right? We are very much weavers of our life, our magic, our destiny. But this is what I call the unweaving, the getting back to basics. Um, and really just trying to remember why you started your spiritual path. So the number one thing that I want to talk about is, why did you actually start, or how did you start on your spiritual path? What brought you to wanting to study paganism, occultism, you know, hoodoo, witchiness, earth religions, whatever it is, right? Whatever is just non-Christian. What prompted you to do that? So we're talking about getting back to the basics of why you started your magic. For me, it was because I wanted to leave the Christian Catholic Church, and I wanted to find more empowerment in myself. And I wanted to design my own life and my own destiny, and I wanted to be free of guilt, and I wanted to be more empowered in my divine feminine energy, and I wanted to be one with nature, the cycles of nature and what is going on. So I want you to write down, we're going to talk about 6 things, right? The first one is, why did you start your spiritual path? So I want you to go way back, because I know that we've been doing this for a long time. Some of us have, sorry, English. And we've kind of just gotten away from the core reason why we started down our path. So it's almost like a reawakening, right? First we have our awakening, and then we're almost like in this, some of us are in this path of reawakening, right? Why did you start? What did you start with? Crystals? Did you start with tarot? Did you start with chakras? Did you start with, grounding? Or what got you into your spiritual path now? And well, then, and how much have you deviated from that, right? So I want you to write that down. Why did you start your spiritual path? And I would love for you to share that in the comments. Yep, very good. Yes. Yep. To be more connected to self. Perfect. I love that. Awesome. Yeah, you started with crystals. What did I start with? Crystal, I can't, this is how long it's been. I can't even really remember. I'm trying to remember what I started with, because it was all just a flood at one time. Um, I was always into crystals. I can't even remember a time when I wasn't really into crystals or saging or incense. So maybe that's probably where I started. It was probably crystals. But I remember a very, very long time ago, very long time ago, I was into mediumship. I was into um, the energy. I was into, what is her name? McLean, I think is her name. She was on David Letterman's show. That's how long ago it was. Um, Energy vortexes. I was into aliens. I was into Stonehenge. That's what really got me into the energy and the vortexes and the crystals. And then it led me into where I'm at now. So that's where I started up. And it's so funny we talked about this, that I don't remember a specific, like, I remember when I left the church. I remember that. But it's magic has always been such a part of my life, and even if I'm a small, like kind of area in my life, it was always there, always there. Yeah, it's always some form or fashion. It was always magic was always in my life. Um, so number two, are you celebrating the sacred flow of the earth? Now, this is kind of controversial, right? And I always say, if this resonates with you, keep it. If not, then just throw it away. Don't use it. So, what do I mean by are you celebrating the sacred flow of the earth? And this is one of the reasons, one of the paths I was started down when I very first started the witchcraft. So that means, are you celebrating the wheel of the year, right? Are you celebrating the moon cycles? Are you celebrating the medicine wheel? Whatever path you are drawn to, even if if you don't, that's fine. But are you in flow with what's happening with Mum Gaia? Are you going out and seeing how the connection is between your body, yourself, and what's going on with Mum Gaia? Are you in flow with the seasons, whether you celebrate it or not? For me, I started off Wicca. So we very much celebrated the wheel of the year and the moon cycles. And I still do that to this day. But I've become more of a BS pagan, right? Which is not a bad thing, but it's just, you kind of get, I don't know, you get distracted. And this is why I wanted to talk to you about this. Get back to your basics of your why. Why did you start spiritualism? Why did you start witchcraft? Why did you start your magic? And how much have you deviated, or how much of that have you lost along the way? Get back to where you started. And sometimes with the basics, with that under our belt, we learn all this kind of stuff, and it's time to come back to full circle for us. And so when you come down this wandering path, is what I call it, and then you go back to your basics, you may see things differently than you did in the beginning, or you may connect to these brand new basic things differently. So that's why it's important just to go back to the basics. Now, a lot of you don't celebrate the wheel of the year or the moon cycles, and that's fine. But I want you to work with the flow of the energy of the earth in you, whether it is energetic fields, whether it is ley lines, whether it's just standing outside watching the seasons change. How does that make that feel? How does it make you feel in your spiritual practice and in your spiritual business? So number two, are you celebrating the sacred flow of the earth, right? And number three, are you doing daily cleansing and rituals? A lot of us are starting to get a little bit lazy in our witchcraft and our magic. And I'm going on a different path now as far as healing and cleansing. I've done all the magical stuff I've done, and I was just talking to my friend about this too, that as healers, we take on so much energy, especially if you're doing spell work, right? That just regular cleansing just isn't going to cut it anymore. You have to go deep. So that's why I'm going to be doing a lot of journeying, a lot of vision quests, kind of healing it that way and moving my energy and moving the gunk out, right? And normally regular sage, I've just gone beyond that. And sacred smoke, that's just basic. That's just taking a bath every day, right? That's just normal spiritual cleansing. But when you get to a certain point in your spiritual practice, you have to do the deep stuff, which is whether it's peyote, ayahuasca, mushrooms, vision quest, shaman journeys, whatever it is, you have to get deep into where that energy is blocked at, and you have to move that. But it's important that we go back to, at least by a show of hands, how many of you are not doing your daily cleansing or your daily rituals? I don't care if it's a morning of just 20 minutes of just pulling a tarot card, a rune, an oracle card, doing some meditation, listening to some high vibe music, or frequencies that get you energy. So we get away from that as we are busy parents, we are busy, wives or husbands or spouses or partners. We are busy running our business. We are busy, taking care of other people, running a household, running a career, and we just don't have time. That's the first thing to go in your spiritual practice. Yeah, it is. It's tough to keep everything together. and everything on track. So, are you doing your daily cleansing, your rituals? If it's are you doing your gratitude journals every day? Are you doing, plant magic every day? Are you talking to your plants? Every morning I go through my house and I open up my windows, I water my plants, I make my coffee. I do a little of a lot about 10 minutes of energy work. I'm working with this new energy modality. And then I light my incense and then I just sit down to work, right? But lately I haven't even done the spiritual cleansing yet at the house. I used to do that once a month. Every day I would at least smoke this, sacred smoke in my office. So right now I'm doing a lot of saging with bringing in a lot of like money magic stuff, a lot of sprays to clear out things, a lot of powders. I do that every single day too. But as far as doing personal daily cleansing and rituals, have you guys slacked on that? I know I have, and I feel it. And that's why, over the weekend, 2 weeks ago, few weeks, this has really been bothering me. Like, man, I got to get back to the basics. And this is what I want you guys to talk about. What are you missing in your spiritual practice that you used to do that you're excited about that when you first started? Yeah, I agree. So number 4, are you living in joy in your craft? I was had this big conversation about living in joy every single day and doing things in joy every single day. And it doesn't mean that you don't have negative energy or you're just kind of blah, right? That's fine. But are you doing things that make you happy? Do you remember a time when you would gather or you would do ritual? Do you remember your very first ritual you did? How amazing you felt after that, or the very first ritual you attended, how energetic you were, you did everything in joy, right? Are you still bringing that energy into your magical practice, into your spiritual practice? Or are you just going through the emotions of doing it, right? You're like, oh my gosh, Star is coming up. Let me go get an Easter egg. No. Let me go light a candle. Are you connected to what used to bring you joy in your spiritual practice? It's very important. This is why I had to get back to basics, because what brought you joy in the beginning may not bring you joy now, but something else may have filled that joy spot, right? So whatever you're doing in your craft, make sure you're doing it with joy and it's bringing you happiness. If it's tedious or doesn't bring you joy, let it go. It's not for you right now. Maybe you'll circle back around, but right now it's not for you. And it changes your vibration level in your spiritual practice and your business practice. It's combined, right? It's an energy kind of tie, ebb and flow. So number 5, are you dedicating time for study and self-care? I just posted in my group, the Facebook group, and make sure you join the Facebook group, that once a year I try to dedicate myself to a specific modality or a specific area of study and a new way of bringing in movement or meditation or something into my practice. So and it kind of is tied to what I talked about earlier about not having time. We're so extremely busy, right? But are you dedicating time for yourself to study, to go down that rabbit hole, and for self-care? It's super important. They can go hand in hand, or they can be separate of themselves. Self-care could be a spa day. It could just be reading a book. It could be whatever it is, gardening, hanging out with friends, having a wonderful, healthy, high vibe lunch, and then you can just take time to study, 20 minutes a day to study your new modality. Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad that you dedicated yourself to that. Perfect. Runes are a good way to start. I have tried to connect with the runes and I just can't. I tried and tried and tried and tried and can't. Same thing with astrology. But this year I want to dedicate it myself to learn astrology, but just not normal astrology, like, oh, what's your birth chart? As you know, I'm a spiritual business coach also, so I want to be able to offer that service as my to my one-on-one clients, looking at the chart as in what is your spiritual business kind of money and where are you going to excel at. So it'll be more of a business kind of astrology instead of like, oh, your birth chart kind of thing. So it's a little bit different. Yeah, I love that about you. I love you doing that. And number 6, are you seeking out in-person interactions with other witches or events? It is important, especially what we've been through in the last few years, that we get out and we are surrounded with like-minded people. That includes rituals, that includes monthly witching gatherings, that includes drum circles, that includes moon circles, new moon circles, women's gatherings. Whatever it is, you have to get out of your house. Point blank circle. I don't care if you don't really participate in it. If you just hang back in, the back corner, but the outer circle, you're watching everybody, that's fine. But you have to get out and participate in life, and you have to be with around other people. I know solitary is a thing, but you get to a certain point where you don't learn anything from being solitary. You need to bring in other people's energy, other people's modalities, other people's thought processes, and you just have to be around other like-minded people. And if you don't have a group, then you need to start one. Okay. It is important that we gather in circles. That is why people always say back in the day, back in the old day, they had circles, they had gatherings, harvesting celebrations, winter celebrations, spring celebrations, festivals, because it is important to your physical self, your mental self, and your practice to be around these people. All right. So let's recap. Yeah, it's super important, and especially what we've been through and what's been going through. Um, so it's important that you create a sense of community or join a community, right? So number 1, why did you start on the spiritual path? Are you celebrating the sacred flow of Earth, wheel of the year, moon cycles, something like that? Are you doing daily cleansing and rituals? Are you living in joy in your craft? Are you dedicating time to study and self-care? And are you participating in in-person circles, coverings, learning circles, festivals, whatever it is, right? Those are the most important things. It's time for us now to get back to basics and why we really started down this magical path, okay? And or why you started your spiritual business. Maybe your spiritual business is not where you want it to be or not where you started, and you just kind of gone down this rabbit hole, or you just following someone else's dream instead of your own, and you just have that disconnect. You just got lost, right? It's time to go back to those programs. It's time to go back to what brought you joy, what you want to teach, what you want to offer, what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy, right? The people will follow. So, all right, that is it for today's discussion, talk, right? Getting back to basics in your magical practice and spiritual business. All right, everyone, make sure you join the Facebook group. That's where everything is happening. And I do have a lot of courses on my Teachable class, right? School, Madam Z School Witchery. Lots of classes you can purchase and download. Self-study, which is really good, so it fits into your busy schedule. Take time out to learning that we talked about that, self-study. It's super easy. So those are 2 things where you can get a lot of support, right? Or where you can just purchase the course, download it, and just run with it. You don't have to wait for calls and coaching calls and stuff. So that's where I would recommend you start my Facebook group. Hang out with me, hang out with some beautiful witches, and then download and purchase some courses in my Witchy School of Wisdom Academy. All right, everyone, we will see you next time in the trainings. Blessed be, everyone.